Hello. The April tasks continue. As I said right at the beginning of the month, and the jobs for the month, there is so much to do in April, and we certainly have been busy. Now, in the last video we sowed our leeks, and I want to thank you for all your comments there. It seems as though some people have been bothered by the leek moth, and as I replied back to you in my comments, we have been lucky so far. We haven't seen that, so I was unable really to offer any advice other than to cover them. But you've all had something to say in the comments, and hopefully that's helped some of you people that have been watching the video. Now, today I want to sow sweet corn and I want to sow some asparagus. Now, we don't have an asparagus bed. We love asparagus. We have a supply where we can get it from, but we've decided it's time that we actually grew our own. It seems rather a great crop to me, something that once it's in the ground can give you a crop for the next 15 to 20 years. Of lovely tasty spears of asparagus. Now, you can get crowns and they can go into the ground as soon as your bed is ready. Ours is not ready yet. In fact, we haven't even started on it, and we intend to make a video on that, of where it's going to go and how we make that asparagus bed, because it is going to become a no-dig bed. And also I want to ensure that we've cleared as many weeds over this coming growing season from that bed before these plants ultimately go out, because they will become quite difficult to weed given that asparagus roots quite near the surface. Now, the variety we're going to plant is Connovers Colossal. Now, I've got my seed tray full of compost, and I'm just going to make some depressions into the tops. I'm going to drop a single seed into each cell. Now, I for one had never seen asparagus seeds before, so I'm hoping you can pick those up on the camera. That's actually what they look like. Once these are sown and then have germinated, there will come a time when we will need to pot them on into a slightly larger pot, and they will grow on for the next year. When you grow asparagus from seed, you sow it this year, and April is the time to do it, and you can set it out the following April. Now, you don't have to sow them in cell trays. You could sow them into a seed tray and then prick them out. So next I'm going to do the sweet corn. And we grew a variety last year called Rising Sun, and it is the most successful that we have ever been with sweet corn. Here's the sweet corn seed, somewhat larger, but then they are very large plants. So there we have it. We'll just cover the seeds over. Now, if any of you have tried growing asparagus from seed before, then please do let us know in the comments. Let us know how it went for you. When these asparagus do go out next year, next April, into the ground, they will need to be in the ground a further year before you can then take some kind of harvest. And clearly the advantage with when you buy crowns is that you can put them in now, and you can then look to take a light harvest next season, and then into full production the season after. So it takes about a year longer doing it by seed, but it's going to give us the rest of this year now to prepare that bed and get it really well prepared and get rid of as many weeds from it as possible until this needs to go in next April. I just thought I'd give you a quick update on what's been happening in the garden. A couple of 3 videos back we made this pea structure. It's a different way for us to be able to give our peas support. We haven't tried it this way yet, but it does seem to be working really successfully. And if you remember, I said to you that we were going to cover these, and they have been covered, and they've now got to about 18 inches tall now. So they've been uncovered for a day or two now. The pigeons seem to have left them alone. I think they've probably got too big for them, and we've had to add more string because they are getting so tall. So I'm really, really pleased with that. You can see they've pushed their way over, and yeah, they're getting hold of the string so that they can climb up. And you know, every week now we'll probably be adding another string as they grow taller. So far so good. Now the other thing is, we have been quite busy over this last weekend. We showed you in a couple of videos back, was it, where we put the pergola up. April is so busy. Usually the weather is that little bit kinder, so it affords you a longer time out in the garden where you can do the jobs that you thought the back end of last year we'd really like to do. One of them was to change the way that we grow our beans, i.e. runner beans and French beans. We grow the climbing varieties, and we've done them by using canes and making rows of them with an A-frame. And we've also done them round wigwams. They all work perfectly well, but what I do seem to find sometimes is that trying to find the beans, especially with the A-frames, because you tend to have beans running up both sides, and to get on the inside, to get those beans that are growing on the inside, you always miss some, and then they get too big. So what we've decided to do this year is to make this bean structure, and hopefully it's going to make a lovely green arch. Whether the beans form on this side or this side of the plant, we've got ample room to be able to get down and pick them. And once they get up to here, hopefully they'll be hanging down, and I'll just be able to go along and pick them. You can see we've used some of this plastic piping that we use for the cloches, and then we've got some cattle fencing, and we've tied it to this with some cable ties. It's not got to take a huge amount of weight as far as the beans go. Yeah, and I think it's going to make a really lovely feature in the garden. We haven't tried it like that before. You know, we always like to try something new. And I'm also hoping that on the very end here, I might be able to grow some of our curry squash up and over. Now the curry squash are sort of like that when they form. They're not really large squash like the Crown Prince. So hopefully this will take its weight. We'll find out one way or another later on this year. Now the curry that we planted last year, we planted down at the bottom end of the garden, where we have some trellising that divides the vegetable garden to our family area, and they certainly did want to climb, and we did have one or two fruits that formed in amongst the trellis. So I'm hoping the same thing is going to work here. And then finally, with the pergola that we put up, I said to you we were going to try and do something with that, and we've decided that what we're going to do is to train our other squash up and over that pergola. And we've got a butternut squash called Hunter and another squash called Honeyboat. So I'm hoping they will scramble over that pergola, and that really is a very sturdy feature, and that should take the weight of those fruits. So stay tuned if you want to see how we get on and whether it works. If it does, maybe it's something that you might want to think of. And really the ideas behind all of this is to make as much use of the growing space that we have. We had wigwams there and on that side last year where the beans were, but even so they need to be spread out a fair bit, and it takes up space where other crops could go in. Whereas I can still grow my crops, as you can see here, and these can grow up and around the arches. So let us know in the comments if you've done anything like this before, and what you think. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's maybe not such a good idea? We always love to hear your comments. We shall see you on the next video.